I'm doing a talk with a microphone like this because I have a really bad tendency that I also need to move my hand. I'm going to try to do my best. So, my name is Dan Taylor, I'm head of technical SEO at a Salt agency. A lot of people have come up and say they think they recognise me. I also write a search engine journal, search engine land, and generally just anywhere on the internet that gives me an opportunity. So even though I am a head of technical, I'm actually talking about a concept I've been doing with a lot of clients over the past sort of 3-4 years. And that's mainly focused a bit higher up in SEO in the main marketing realm. And that's actually how we communicate and how our messaging resonates and gets to clients, because SEO, for all it is in terms of organic, is really just a vehicle of communicating brand and brand messages to users just through a certain channel. And one of the issues we have, and we're experiencing more and more, especially higher. Is that better?
Yes.
Wonderful. That's the first time anyone's ever said I need to be louder. So one of the key things we've seen in the past few years, and especially with AI coming out more, not just through Google's products but other ones as well, is our messaging is starting to fail. For a large number of years as an industry, we've been quite privileged. We've been able to look at very specific metrics to report on, so traffic and things like that, without having to necessarily go too deep into business intelligence metrics like revenue and conversions for the most part. We very much tell users what they want and not what they'll actually mean for them. So we actually need to start forecasting their experiences before they start committing. And because now a lot of our content is being surfaced either summarised or verbatim within AI overviews or AI mode more frequently, we also need to make sure our messaging and brand has concept or is context even outside of the actual web pages we're writing and servicing on. The second part of this is that the search journey has also evolved quite heavily in the past few years. 10, 15 years ago, even more recently, users would stack queries. They would perform one search and then perform sequential searches to get to their end objective. Now, we're much more multimodal, and we have been for a long time. Even 2-3 years ago, when people started calling TikTok a search engine, we just didn't have a vocabulary for it back then. People are going to YouTube, they're going to AI mode, they're using voice, maps. It's a multimodal journey with the same objectives, not just the stacked queries. So a concept I've been working on with a few clients, everyone from car manufacturers through to CDNs, airlines, that sort of stuff, is this experience forecasting notion. So we actually need to provide enough context in our messaging where users aren't just looking at something as a list of benefits and a list of product features, but actually how can they envision how that product or service will actually benefit them. Now this makes sense, because if you do content marketing, this is a general thing you do in product explanations anyway, but it's something that we as SEOs need to move more towards, just because our old methods of using keywords and differentiations is evolving quite heavily. So focusing on this kind of multimodal journey, we really want to understand and start asking questions like, why are people going online? Are they going online to learn, make a purchase, to research, to participate in something? And depending on what that reason is they're going online, will very much depend on if they'll start their journey on different modes other than traditional Google search. It'll also very much depend on how influential AI results can be in this, because at the moment, if they want to participate, they may use AI to identify new forums to go and argue on. Similarly, if they want to make a purchase, they still need to visit websites and have that checkout journey with other features as well. The other thing is we have to move away from an assumption-based mechanism I feel we've kind of built in. Not everybody starts their search journey actually knowing what they're looking for. Some searches are quite ambiguous. They don't actually have that end goal in mind. There's a lot of dead-end queries. As kind of David said, it's the messy middle. There's a lot more chaos than what we used to be. Different systems can also suggest better versions, and we will start to have better recall, different levels of precision as we move along. But understanding that forecasting system will give us better value. A really basic example of this, just if you do something from a base hotel kind of level, if you're just basically just talking about a luxury hotel on the Amalfi Coast with something free, you want to elevate that messaging to actually allow a person to understand, because there's a lot of same content, a lot of homogeneous content and messaging on the internet, and you need your brain to actually start standing out and having a better context. Also, in my opinion, if you're an AI model, If you're adding a lot more flavour to text, and it's a lot more user-friendly, and actually a lot more better to be broadcast with, it's a lot easier to summarise and present this than it's just trying to chunk that first sentence a billion times over on the internet. This also means we need to move on from our own keyword focuses, because we also in the industry have a fascination with new terms. So when Query Fan Out was announced back in May, we all started looking at that. MS macro queries, neural models. If we want to start inventing new acronyms by dipping our hand in a Scrabble bag even pulling that out, users are more driving the change and being driven by that and the changes online, as what Gary said on day one. So we actually want to start forecasting through hands at different stages of the funnel. Whilst it isn't linear anymore, we want to start looking at influence and providing guidance at the top, validating the pattern decision making as they move down, and having that reinforcing reward closer to the bottom. This isn't too far detached from what we've been doing historically, but it's just about changing how we communicate with users and move away from a keyword-driven model to a user-driven model. So key questions we want to ask is some of this is from pre-quality rating guidelines, like what is the beneficial purpose of the content, does it show that first-hand experience, will it lead you to satisfy, and is it original regurgitation and I need to speed up because the chicken man is walking. So I'm going to let this one, ease the ranking factor, we all know about, let's everyone nod, good. Well then the final question is, who wrote this, how is it written, why is it written, and how does it help use the forecast? So this is having that originality, having that authorship, and representing the brand in a slightly better way. So it's shifting from that traditional research-led, experience-led, to user-driven decision-making. Thank you.